Ciryl Gane, who's 6'5", 247 pounds, moves like a 170 pounder. He's bouncing like Wonderboy. Completely changed the standard of heavyweight striking.
We've been screaming about this Tom Aspinall, Ciryl Gane for a long time. UFC 321, Tom minus 325, Gane plus 260. We finally got the fight, but the world doesn't seem to believe, Chael, that it's a close fight. And I don't really agree with that line. I think this fight is much closer. Tom Aspinall minus 325, Ciryl Gane plus 265.
Joe Rogan has just given his full breakdown of the upcoming heavyweight showdown between Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane, a fight that has been teased, delayed, and anticipated for years. Rogan didn't just look at this as another main event. He framed it as a defining battle that could reshape how we think about the entire heavyweight division. On the other hand, Henry Cejudo added his perspective, pointing out that giving Tom Aspinall a matchup with the top contender in Ciryl Gane is not only a bold move, but also a necessary one. According to Cejudo, Gane is a big, mobile, and incredibly athletic heavyweight, someone who presents a very different puzzle than the opponents Aspinall has been dismantling so far. He stressed that Aspinall will not be able to handle Gane with the same ease as others he has faced.
Given the one contender, Ciryl Gane. Ciryl Gane is somebody that's a big heavyweight, that's very agile. I don't think Tom Aspinall gets rid of him right away like he has with other people. And I think that'll be a big indication if John Jones wants to come back and reclaim that bout.
Adding to this, former welterweight champion Kamaru Usman shared his thoughts, highlighting that Ciryl Gane is often overlooked even though he remains one of the most skilled and versatile heavyweights the UFC has ever seen. Usman emphasized that Gane moves with a grace and fluidity that heavyweights are not supposed to have. He uses his punches, kicks, and even his elbows with such precision that he becomes a complete and dangerous package inside the octagon. At the same time, Usman admitted that Tom Aspinall's own movement, his sharp boxing, and his raw knockout power make it very difficult to doubt him anymore. Aspinall, in Usman's words, has proven that he is not just another prospect, but a force who has risen to the very top of the heavyweight food chain. Man, Tom's movement, his boxing speed, and his power, it's very, very hard to doubt this guy anymore. Every time he steps in there, he shows us something that makes you realize he's the real deal.
Ciryl Gane is, people forget how fantastic he is. A guy that can kind of float around the octagon, touch you, kick you, hit you with elbow. He's just a complete game. But man, Tom's movement, his boxing, speed, and his power, it's very, very difficult to doubt this man anymore.
Joe Rogan built on that, but he dug into something that has made Ciryl Gane special from the moment he stepped into the UFC. His size combined with his movement. Rogan highlighted the fact that Gane, standing 6'5" and weighing around 247 pounds, moves with the speed and footwork of a welterweight. He even compared Gane's bouncy, elusive movement to Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, a man known for his karate-style striking and ability to glide around the octagon. Rogan argued that Gane has redefined what striking at heavyweight looks like, changing the standard entirely. He posed the question, though, as revolutionary as Gane's style is, can it hold up against Tom Aspinall, who brings his own brand of speed and precision, but combines it with devastating knockout power and a strong grappling base?
Ciryl Gane, who's 6'5", 247 pounds, moves like a 170 pounder. He's bouncing like Wonderboy. Completely changed the standard of heavyweight striking.
In the build-up to this fight, new sparring footage of Tom Aspinall surfaced online. The clips went viral across MMA social media. In them, Aspinall looked sharp, focused, and composed. His fast hands and crisp combinations were on full display, along with his slick head movement and ability to cut angles. His defense looked tighter than ever, and he seemed to be managing distance perfectly, a critical element when preparing for someone like Gane. Fans watching the footage couldn't help but feel that Aspinall was showing glimpses of the timing and precision he intends to bring with him into the octagon on fight night.
Let's go!
Aspinall himself has been vocal and confident in the lead-up. He has insisted that he matches up very well against Gane. He believes he is equally as fast, equally as mobile, but holds the edge in two crucial areas, grappling and raw power. Aspinall pointed to his history of knockouts as proof of how dangerous he is. He also reminded people of his last outing, when he admitted that he was pacing himself for 5 rounds, intentionally not throwing his strikes with full power, and yet still finished the fight with a knockout. That, he argued, should tell the world how dangerous his striking is when he decides to unleash it at full force. I think I match up pretty well against him. I think I'm equally as fast as him. I move just as well. The difference is I can grapple. I've got a lot of power. And I think that's undeniable at this stage. Look at my record. It's full of knockouts. I only need to touch him once. In my last fight, I was pacing for a 5-rounder. I wasn't even throwing heavy shots, and I still finished it. It just takes one punch, mate, especially at heavyweight.
I think I match up pretty well against him. I think I'm equally as fast as him. I move equally as well. The difference is I can grapple. I've got a lot of power. And I think that's pretty undeniable at this stage of my career. I've got a lot of knockouts on my record, mate. I have to touch you once, and I wasn't even throwing heavy tonight. I thought it was going to be a 5-rounder. I didn't mean to knock him out. I was pretty sure that was going to be a 5-round fight tonight, and just takes one shot, mate, at heavyweight, especially with me throwing.
There's also the storyline of how long this fight has been in the making. Aspinall mentioned that this is the 4th time he and Gane have been matched up, but for various reasons, the fight never materialized until now. After years of waiting, delays, and cancellations, they are finally set to collide on October 25th in Abu Dhabi. For Aspinall, this is personal. He stated bluntly that his goal is to end Ciryl Gane's championship runs once and for all. Finally, we're back after over a year of trying. Ciryl finally signed on the dotted line. This is the 4th time we've been matched up, and now it's official. October 25th in Abu Dhabi. This is Cyryl's 3rd title shot. I'm going to try and get rid of him of the title picture for good.
Finally, we're back after over a year hiatus. Ciryl finally signed on the dotted line. This is the 4th time we've been matched up together. And now we are matched up for the 25th of October, Abu Dhabi. Me and Ciryl. The 4th attempt is here, and this is Cyryl's 3rd title shot. We are going to try and get rid of Ciryl Gane from the title picture for good.
Meanwhile, Gane has been quietly but seriously putting in work of his own. His training camp has been heavily focused on refining his already explosive striking power. He's been mixing up his punches, sharpening his kicking arsenal, and improving his footwork. He's also been blending his attacks more seamlessly, making him even harder to predict. Footage from his camp shows a Ciryl Gane who looks more motivated and dangerous than ever, determined not to let another title opportunity slip through his fingers. Michael Bisping added his perspective, noting that Tom Aspinall has already dismantled many of the UFC's top heavyweights. His highlight reel includes impressive finishes against Curtis Blaydes, Sergey Pavlovich, and Alexander Volkov, names that represent the elite of the division. Still, Bisping argued, Ciryl Gane presents a very different challenge. He described both Aspinall and Gane as the heavyweight equivalents of Georges St. Pierre, athletes with rare speed, agility, and intelligence for their size. But he also pointed out the hole in Gane's game, his grappling. That weakness was brutally exposed when Jon Jones took him down and submitted him in the first round of their fight. Bisping admitted that while Gane's striking is elite and his movement is remarkable, that gap in grappling could be the deciding factor against someone like Aspinall.
Now, when you look at the UFC heavyweight rankings, as I say, Tom has beat most of them, and he's beat them in style, and he's knocked them all out. Curtis Blaydes, Sergey Pavlovich, Alexander Volkov, whoever they are, he's beaten them all up. But Ciryl Gane is a little bit different. Now, of course, Jon Jones beat Ciryl Gane in quick fashion, took him down in the first round, submitted him with a front choke. But Ciryl Gane is the same as Tom Aspinall in terms of athletic ability. When I say that Tom Aspinall is a heavyweight Georges St. Pierre, that kind of goes to Ciryl Gane as well. The man's gigantic. He's very quick. He's agile. He's light on his feet. He could run any sport on the planet. And he's almost like Georges St. Pierre and Tom Aspinall in the fact that he's got all those athletic attributes and qualities, but he doesn't have the grappling. That's what cost him against Jon Jones, and that's probably what's going to cost him against Tom Aspinall. You never know. He could clip him. This is a dangerous fight. This is heavyweight MMA.
When you look at the rankings, Tom's already beaten most of them, and he's beaten them in style, knocking them out one after another, Bisping said. But Ciryl is different. Jon Jones beat him in quick fashion, took him down right away, and submitted him with a guillotine. That shows you what happens when someone exploits his grappling. Ciryl, though, is just as athletic as Tom. When I called Tom Aspinall the heavyweight George St. Pierre, I think that also applies to Ciryl. He's gigantic, quick, agile, light on his feet. He could have played any sport on the planet. But he doesn't have the grappling. That's what cost him against Jones, and it's what could cost him against Tom Aspinall. Of course, you never know. This is heavyweight MMA. He could clip him. This is a dangerous fight.
But Tom Aspinall can grapple. We've seen him take people down. He's done jiu-jitsu since he was about 15 years old. His dad is going to be on his case, and that's an absolute fact, saying, hey, you're not messing with this guy. Take him down, show him what you can do, show the world your grappling capability. Remember, Ciryl Gane turned Francis Ngannou into a wrestler, okay? So he's a very, very credible threat on the feet. But of course, I do fancy Tom Aspinall to get the job done. The fact that he isn't fighting John Jones is insane, but we've talked about that till the cows come home, so I'm not going to bore you on that subject anymore. But just you wait. John Jones is probably going to pop up on Twitter. If he doesn't beat Ciryl Gane as fast as what John did, guaranteed we're going to get some.
Veteran Matt Brown also chimed in, saying that while both fighters are under pressure, it's Aspinall who carries the heavier burden. According to Brown, the state of the entire heavyweight division rests on Aspinall's shoulders. If Gane comes out on top, Brown argued, the division's reputation, already shaky, will take another hit. For Aspinall, this is about proving he is not only the best heavyweight right now, but also the man capable of restoring respect to the division. Brown explained, it's almost an unfair comparison because everybody's under pressure. But if you look at it in terms of legacy and career stakes, it's hard not to say Tom Aspinall is carrying more.
It's almost an unfair comparison, right? When you talk about pressure versus pressure, everybody's under tremendous pressure. But I guess when you kind of look at it from not just pressure, but potential legacy and career and what's on the line, I think it's hard to not go with Tom Aspinall because the heavyweight division is on the line. If Gane goes in and beats him, no disrespect to Gane, love the guy, the heavyweight division loses a lot of respect. Even if Tom goes out there and it's a close fight or he gets dropped and then has to come back or something, like the heavyweight division has so little respect right now, probably deservedly so, I think. You know, with Gane getting his third title shot in a couple years, like Tom has to show that he is the heavyweight division. You know, he has to prove that to the world. Like I am, you know, the heavyweight division's not just shit, but like I'm so good that the heavyweight division is shit, right? This is kind of his thing that he has to go out there and prove to the world.
Brown also noted that the result could have massive implications for the future, particularly in terms of a possible fight with John Jones. He suggested that Jones will be watching with his phone in hand, ready to pounce on any mistake Aspinall makes, whether it's a dropped moment, a limp from a leg pick, or anything else that could be spun into doubt about his dominance. If Tom loses to Gane, it damages him big time, and the division too. And even if he wins, but it's close, you better believe Jones will be tweeting. He's going to be watching every second, waiting for that one opening to say, see, Tom's not on my level.
If he goes out there and loses to Gane, you know, the division already is not respected. That brings Tom down significantly, I think, right? And of course, you know, the potential John Jones fight, which is whatever, who knows, right? Like how he beats Gane, assuming he does, may play a factor too. Like if it turns out to be a close fight, again, John's going to be on his phone with Twitter open watching this fight, like just waiting for Tom to fuck up and get dropped, get leg kicked and limping a little bit, or, you know what I mean? John can't wait for that moment.
Aspinall, however, said that this is exactly the kind of pressure he thrives under. Unlike some fighters who look unstoppable in the gym but freeze up when the lights are on, Aspinall claimed he performs his very best when the stakes are highest. I've trained with guys who are killers in the gym, absolute world beaters, but when they get into a fight, they freeze. They can't do what they do in training. I'm the opposite. Every time there's pressure on me, that's when I perform the most devastatingly. All the talk, all the hype, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we're both going to walk in there with gloves on and fight. That's what counts. October 25th, we'll see who really delivers.
You know, there's the guys who I've trained with, from my experience, who in the gym are absolute killers, absolute world beaters, and they'll get in a fight and they'll just freeze up, and it doesn't work like it does in the gym. They fight way worse. And there's other guys like myself, anytime there's pressure on me, that's when I've done my most devastating performances. Oh, talk's just talk to me, mate. It doesn't matter. Like, at the end of the day, we're both going to take our shirts off, get a pair of gloves on, and go in there and see who wins on October 25th. So it's not really going to change anything, to be honest.
Daniel Cormier also spoke about how exciting it is that this fight has finally come together. Fans have been waiting for it for years, and the anticipation has only grown stronger. He pointed out the betting odds, which list Aspinall as a heavy favorite at minus 325 and Gane as an underdog at plus 265. But Cormier stressed that those numbers don't reflect how competitive this fight really is. In his view, the matchup is much closer than the odds makers suggest. We've been calling for Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane for a long time. Now we've got it. But the odds don't show how close this really is. I don't agree with those lines at all. This fight is much tighter than people think.
We've been screaming about this Tom Aspinall, Ciryl Gane for a long time. UFC 321, Tom minus 325, Gane plus 260. We finally got the fight, but the world doesn't seem to believe, Chael, that it's a close fight. And I don't really agree with that line. I think this fight is much closer. Tom Aspinall minus 325, Ciryl Gane plus 265.
Chael Sonnen also added that this is more than just a big fight. It's a transitional moment for the heavyweight division. He described it as a chess-like move in the broader landscape of MMA. While Sonnen admitted he normally thinks in terms of checkers, grabbing the biggest fight available immediately, he said that sometimes the sport requires a longer view. And this fight, after being booked and canceled 4 times before, is exactly that. A fight that needs to happen for the integrity of the rankings and for the future direction of the division. This is a transitional fight, Sonnen said. Usually I think in checkers. I take the biggest fight in front of me. But sometimes you have to play chess. You have to think long term. Gane himself said they tried to make this fight 4 different times. For the integrity of the rankings, for the division, it makes perfect sense. Right now.
Aspinall versus Gane is a massive transitional fight for the heavyweight division. Now, you got to understand where we're at. And I'm a checkers player. When it comes to matchmaking, that is a unique skill and vision. But I will always go with low-hanging fruit. It's just the way my mind works. I take the biggest fight for right now. But sometimes you're playing chess. And I admire the guys that can do that. I admire the guys that can stand back, look at the board, not think about what's right now, think about what could be. Ciryl Gane versus Tom Aspinall. According to Ciryl Gane, he just did an interview. They tried to make this fight 4 times. And for rankings and for the integrity of our rankings, I get it.
Sonnen also reminded fans of Gane's decorated background in professional kickboxing. With a record of 27 wins and 3 losses, Gane comes into the cage with elite striking credentials. Sonnen admitted he sometimes mixes it up with another record, but regardless, the numbers show that Gane is one of the most seasoned strikers in the heavyweight division. On the other hand, Aspinall has built his reputation by finishing opponents the same way, by standing up and knocking them out. This sets up a fascinating stylistic clash. A decorated kickboxer with decades of striking experience against a knockout artist who has bulldozed through everyone he has faced in the UFC. It's an intriguing matchup, Sonnen said. Gane's striking is top class, but Tom has finished 6 opponents all the same way, by knockout. It's 2 very different paths colliding.
It's a hard matchup, by the way. Ciryl is a very decorated kickboxer. Off the top of my head, I believe he was 27-3 in professional kickboxing. 27-3. I get he and Adesanya's record confused one time. One of them was 29-2 and the other one was 27-3. I'm sharing for you when you're Tom Aspinall and you beat 6 men all the same way, which is stand up and by knockout. It's a matchup-wise, it's an interesting match.
Finally, Sonnen raised an interesting question that's been overlooked. Why was Tom Aspinall stripped from his interim title? He suggested that it's not as simple as people assume and that the reasoning deserves a proper explanation. More than the fight itself, Sonnen admitted he is fascinated by the potential fallout, the ripple effects that will follow, especially with Jon Jones still looming in the background. He even speculated that Jones's sudden retirement talks could be linked to the rise of fighters like Tom Aspinall and Ciryl Gane, men who may pose real threats to his legacy. If you want to impress me, tell me why Tom isn't the interim champion anymore. That's not as easy a question as you think. The fight itself I like, but what I really love is the fallout, what happens after. I think Jon's decision to step away might have been influenced by this new wave, guys like Tom and Ciryl. Maybe he doesn't like what he sees coming.
You want to be a really smart guy and you want to impress Chael? Tell me why Tom is no longer interim champion. Put that into words for me. I'm serious. Explain to me why Tom was stripped of a title. It's not as easy of a riddle as you might think. And when I look at Tom versus Ciryl, I like the match. But I love the potential fallout from the outcome of the match much more.
So the stage is set. Tom Aspinall versus Ciryl Gane, finally happening after years of delays. It's not just a fight. It's a moment of truth for the heavyweight division, a fight that could shape the future, draw Jon Jones back into the mix, or change the balance of power altogether. The stakes have never been higher, and all eyes are on October 25th in Abu Dhabi. That's it for today's video. What do you think about this matchup? Do you see Tom Aspinall cementing his place as the heavyweight king, or do you think Ciryl Gane's unique style will finally carry him to undisputed glory? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the breakdown.